from WBBZ-TV Sports. It's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Beat the Champ. It is week 2 at Manor 2 Lanes here in Amherst with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky and Sue Jeziorski in for Janelle Sabin. My name is Paul Peck. So what did we learn from week 1 in Chad Mee winning 2 matches, including a win over Chuck Jagodzinski, to advance to today's show?
I guess we learned to stay out of trouble, and that is the secret to this little challenging lane condition that's out here, is because the flat pattern, you can't go open it up, gotta stay out of trouble, and that's what the urethane ball did for him.
Somehow the thought of staying out of trouble at Jim Russo's place just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, but I get what you're saying. Sue, what did we learn about the kind of equipment the guys are using and what's working best?
Well, the urethane obviously is working best because it's going to give you the least motion down the lane, but we got some bowlers that I haven't seen before, so I'm kind of curious to see how they read the lanes and what kind of equipment they're going to throw.
All right, I'm surrounded by Hall of Famers here. Let's see if we've got a Hall of Fame level performance coming out of one of our 4 bowlers, Frank Domenico, Jay Schwartzkopf, Mike Johnson. They'll challenge Chad Mee, so let's get rolling. Match number 1, shake of the hands between Chad Mee and Frank Domenico. It's Frank's 3rd appearance here on Beat the Champ. He has yet to win, so that's going to be the goal for Frank here. Last time we saw Frank, not all that long ago, back in May, when he bowled at Transit Lanes and was defeated by Rocket Rob Piccoli, who's the last guy that Chad has defeated to come in here on a 2-match winning streak.
Right.
See, there's everything that's connected.
It was
bowling,
certain
this whole
6
bowling
degrees
family,
of separation.
Oh, it's like 2 degrees, particularly when it comes to bowling. And that's not how Frank would like a few less degrees of separation between the pins right now. So tough way to get things started there.
Well, when you come in here and you know, kind of jump into the matches, they're not going to be exactly what he qualified on. So it all depends on what equipment he brought. He's got to make a quick plan. And you know, Chad's had the benefit of having an idea how these lanes are playing out. And Frank's chosen to start with a lot of shine on his ball, and that will limit his area. So he's going to have to make some really, really good shots to compete with this young man right here. So
an open in the first for Frank Domenico, a strike in the first for Chad Mee. I guess if on Frank's part you want to get that open out of the way as early as you can, because you can still catch up and kind of get things going. But we'll see what it's going to do with Chad here. 7th show appearance for Chad Mee, the 23-year-old from Hamburg. 7 wins and 3 losses overall in Chad's appearances on the show. And that one went spinning around the 10 pin, so it'll be a spare opportunity here for Chad.
Chad had mentioned that he's chosen the urethane ball because it kind of keeps him out of trouble. And, you know, I guess that's kind of been the theme with the flat pattern and the tougher shot. So although he hasn't carried all of the time, what we have seen him do is pretty consistently stay in the pocket, where he's not leaving any formations. I mean, he hasn't left any splits. He hasn't left any multiple pin conversions. He's been keeping it really simple, getting to the pocket, and if he doesn't strike, it's left him a pretty makeable spare, like 1-pin spares. So, you know, these high performance bowling balls with all this shine on it just leaves you those multiple pin conversions if you're not perfect.
Yeah, see now Frank got that one a little bit to the right. It did not hook into the pocket, and that's why he leaves those 2 pins, one in front of the other, kind of right down the middle there. We don't see that very often.
Came up a little light, but then again, we've got all this ball speed with a ball that goes really, really long down the lane.
So spares,
even though there's a lot of friction, you're going to see him. You might see some light hits.
Spares for both guys in the 2nd frame. Frank Domenico's 34 years old. He is from Tonawanda, a laborer at Coca-Cola. Been bowling since he was about 8 or 9 years old, and bowls pretty regularly to establish a very healthy 230 average. Here you get a first look at Sue Jeziorski manning the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard this week for us.
Good shot. That was definitely
a good
better
shot, but
yep.
that 4-pin is still staring him down.
Yep. Well, the one thing Sue brings to the table filling in is, you know, she's been in the pro shop business for a very long time. So you notice we're talking a little bit more about bowling balls, but we have her expertise to rely on today. So we're like take advantage of it since we've got her here. So it's a real big part of bowling, what these guys come with and what they choose to bowl with in league and in tournaments. Can make or break them. You can look like the best bowler in the world, and you can look like you don't have a clue simply by the ball in your hand. So
for people that may be hearing us throw phrasing around here on the ball stuff, you're talking about the urethane, and I joked on the last show with Sue Jeziorski that kind of goes back to the 80s. Everybody, the brief sort of travel through time of the balls, you know, of the ball materials and stuff, and why it's changed and how it's helped make people better bowlers.
Well, it's all related to the oil in the surface too. So, you know, these the bowling ball companies, the oil companies, the AMF in Brunswick who makes the lane surfaces, they've all been not working together actually. That one got away from him, but still kept it in play.
A little bit of a very late, slow fall, but a strike for Chad Mee in the 4th frame.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
I've always thought one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten over the years that has really stuck with me is that you kind of draw an imaginary line between your target and your break point. And that helps you, so it's not just getting to a break point. You're going to have a target closer to you on the lanes, and it's going to get to a point on lanes, and that keeps your swing, your projection in line. And so, you know, so that's the break point thing. But what you can't do is skate through it, and that's what that Frank's ball is doing. Good spare.
Spare for Chad in the 5th frame, so 3 strikes, 2 spares for the first 5 for Chad. 23 years old from Hamburg, employed at Ascension Industries in North Tonawanda after recently graduating from UB. 7th appearance here on our show with a 7-3 overall record is Chad Mee.
He feels like he's been around so long and he's only 23 years old.
Nice strike. Well, as you mentioned, he's grown up in a bowling family, so you've probably known him since he was a little kid when he hung out with Dad Jim, who's the proprietor at the Jamestown Bowling Company, a regular stop here on our Beat the Champ tour of Western New York.
Right, and his mom, Lori, is here, who I have bowled with for years. I mean, Lori was a great bowler. She bowled out on tour. And, you know, so it's on both sides of his family, the bowling gene.
And now Frank may have sort of found a little groove here. Frank adds on his bio sheet that he has known Jim Russo for 20 years and has bowled here since his days in high school. Normally after about a year or two, you don't want any more part of Jim Russo, so credit to Frank for 20 years of sticking it out.
I'll tell you, I've been here now working with Jim a little bit for, this is going on my 3rd year, and he loves those, he is so good with the kids. He is so good with coaching the kids.
I kid Jim, and Jim has been an incredible driving force behind this show and behind continuing to grow bowling in Western New York.
Yes.
We love to kid each other, and we, you know, Jim, as you've heard on our show before, Jim's got a great personality. We're going to have him on for our next match, but any chance, because he'll take any chance he can get to grip me, I'm going to take any chance I can get to throw it back the other way.
Well, he coaches the Sweet Home girls team, and you know, not only have some of these guys, these people, been a part of his junior program, but then on top of it, he's been coaching the Sweet Home girls team for a very long time. So he's just very good with the youth, and they're very loyal to him for years and years.
2 strikes in a row for Chad, frame 8. Making 3 in a row.
There you go. He's figured that one out.
Yes,
that got away from him twice on 5, and I think he made a little bit of an adjustment there.
A 4-time high school state champion is Chad Mee. Not all that long ago, at only 23 years old, but one of the top up-and-coming bowlers. And as we talked about on last week's show, when we saw him defeat Chuck Jagodzinski and Rocket Rob Piccoli, we don't see him as much because he was going to school and he's starting a new job and he's kind of getting off and running in his working career. That's 3 in a row now, technically 4 in a row after the gutter ball, the strike follow-up for Frank Diminuco. So it took him a little while to get it figured out, and that's not unusual. Here you get the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard with the update.
Well, not to steal Rob Piccoli's name, but I think at this point, Frank's just throwing rockets to the pocket. That one went left on him, but you know, both these
Furious
guys
Frank, can we come up with that one?
These guys have
We've got a Rocket Rob, we've got a Furious Frank. Oh, how about that? That's 3 pins on the 6, 9, 10 all sort of fell into each other at the same time.
Well, I guarantee you he's not trying to go left, but it's at least he's getting lucky and carrying them.
Working 3 in a row is Chad Mee, frame 9. Wow. Chad's incredibly consistent on the 2 matches he's won to get here, 234, 227.
On that shot there.
Going to be in the ballpark of that again.
The 10 pin went out a certain way. It's kind of, we call it slapping out the 10, where the 10 looks like it gets cracked. That is all hand, because doing that with a urethane ball is simply amazing. You see it with the high performance balls, but that is a hit that he's created a lot of that on his own.
Now that went flying by the 10, didn't take it out, so it'll be a spare here in the 10th for Chad to post up a score that looks like it might be tough to beat.
Yeah, he'll just have to make this spare. The best Frank can do if he strikes out is going to be 226. Very solid.
So that is going to get Chad Mee a victory. It'll be his 3rd in a row, and it'll advance him off to our next match against Jay Schwartzkopf. So we got a little winning streak mook working here and on the move here for Chad Mee. We'll see if he can't keep it going, but it's a win for Chad over Frank Diminuco. We're back to talk to Frank and get you ready for match number 2 when Sue and I return. More Beat the Champ with Manor, 2 Lanes, and Amherst is next. .236 to 193, Chad Mee's 3rd win in a row advances him on. Tough start for you, Frank. We talk about this game being so much mental. When you start in a rough way like that, how hard is it to shake your way out of that?
Oh, it's extremely difficult. You start behind the 8 ball, and Chad's been lined up for a while, and he didn't give him anything to look at to give him any sort of pressure. Started stringing him late, but it was a little too late for that.
I know this guy's been your friend for a long time, but after what he's done here to the oil patterns, you a little angry at him?
No, that's the nature of the game. I made the adjustment a little too late as it was. Like I said, starting slow, it's hard when Chad was just locked in.
All right, you get to keep another friend for a little while.
Yeah, Frankie and I go way back. Frank bowled on the Sweet Home High School team way back when.
Great.
And now he's got 3 boys of his own that he's going to put in our junior program. Right, Frank?
Apparently you don't have any choice in that matter, Frank.
I guess not. I guess we're going to, hopefully they get to see Jim for another 20 years like I did.
Here's a little seed money for him.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
2 really good friends here and a good performance by Frank, but it's Chad Mee that's moving on. Match number 2 coming up next. There you go. The next guy to try to end Chad Mee's winning streak is Jay Schwartzkopf, making his 2nd appearance here on Beat the Champ, and he'll try to figure out a way to solve Chad, who has won 3 matches in a row and averaged over 230 in doing it. So here we go, match number 2 for Manor Lanes 2.
Good shot.
And it'll be a strike opportunity. I thought he was going to get that 10 pin to fall, but Jay will have to pull off the spare here to get things started. Last time we saw Jay, the only other time we've seen Jay on the show, Rapids Bowling Center a year ago back in August 2018 when he lost to Mike Zarcone by just a couple of pins, 244 to 233 lost to Mike that time.
Well, that's
Jay was a high qualifier the last time we had last year when we had Beat the Champ.
That's right. He won the television and but was not able to make the TV show despite being the high qualifier. So that tells us, you heard the voice of Jim Russo, our proprietor here at Manor 2 Lanes. That tells us that Jay knows this place pretty well and he's a pretty good bowler.
Yep.
He performs well here. He feels very comfortable. He matches up well. And he's had 2 good years, both when the shots were a little tougher. So
be careful, you almost took the cake out there.
I would never do that. That cake is...
I can't believe that cake has survived a week. That cake's been there for a week, and I can't believe you didn't take a chunk out of it.
That might be a new cake, because I don't think the other cake lasted a week. I don't think it lasted through lunch, actually.
By the way, thanks to our friends at Muscarell's for the really cool Beat the Champ bowling pin strike cake. Look, we've got those pins halfway falling down there.
Yeah. Steve and his crew did a great job on that, as they always do. They have some great stuff there. You can't go in there without picking up 3,000 or 4,000 calories.
I think we're going to attack that thing on our upcoming lunch break here on Beat the Champ taping day. So
I think the next time you see it, it'll look quite different.
Yes. All right, so frame 2 now for Jay Schwartzkopf. Got a little right on that one, and he'll have some work to do.
Now, you see, I noticed in practice, it seemed to me like Jay is turning a little bit early. And he doesn't quite, he's not in the ball, and as a result, the ball's not finishing as much for him.
Well,
he might be doing that on purpose, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of friction out there, and you know, the scores haven't suffered, but I think that we've had some pretty, experienced bowlers out there so far making, Chad has seen it all, so his decision making is amazing. But, I think that he's trying to, Jay's trying to place the ball a little bit, and that was a good shot right there, but that's what happens when he
comes off the
yeah,
side. And that's what your average bowler needs to know too. They think that by turning that wrist that they're going to get a lot of finish to the ball, but sometimes if they turn too soon, they have no fingers in the shot, the ball doesn't finish. It has the opposite effect, so you got to be careful with that. You want to stay under the ball.
Good spare there.
So Jay follows up that open in the second by picking up the 3-pin spare in the third. Chad has started strike spare. 8 wins now against only 3 losses here on Beat the Champ for Chad Mee. That's a nice strike in the third. And I mentioned he's won 3 in a row and averaged 232. That includes win over Chuck Jagodzinski, Rocket Rob Piccoli, and then our last match over Frank Domenico.
Well, anything can happen, and we've definitely seen it. But when you see this young man throw the bowling ball, it's like, that's as good as it gets. He's got a great release. And, this urethane ball is allowing him to just let loose on it. He doesn't have to try to baby it anyway.
And last week he said to me, let Chuck Jagodzinski beat me up and get me out of here, and he said, I'll be one and done. And here he is the second week and rolling right along.
Yep. It's maybe that was all it took for a little bit of confidence boost for Chad. I mean, again, going up against Chuck is a challenge, but he does it, he wins, and maybe that's all he needed to kind of boost himself forward.
Exactly. You know what this week is for a bowling proprietor? It's almost like Christmas. The bowling season's going to start in another couple of weeks.
That's right.
The bowlers are coming back for their organizational meetings. I'm such a happy man right now. I can't tell you. My family will be able to eat again.
Is it going to go down? Is it? It's not going to go down. I thought you were going to say your family's so happy because now you'll be spending a lot more time here.
Well, that too, probably, but if you see a bowling proprietor walking around the streets of Buffalo these days, they'll probably be smiling because it's just like flipping a switch.
So what do you got? What do you got prepared for the upcoming season here at Manor?
Well, we have leagues every night of the week, and not a whole lot of openings, but we do have openings for some teams. Not for full leagues, but we do have openings for teams in some leagues. And we've got our great junior program on Saturday morning, and most bowling centers will have some type of junior program in it, and it's the greatest sport for kids because it's injury-free. We've had very few injuries I mean, I dropped a ball on my foot once, but normally that doesn't happen. And
it's pretty safe, yeah.
And there's cake.
That's right. The kids come out, they have a great time. We teach them the sport, we teach them the fundamentals, we teach them etiquette, we teach them sportsmanship, teamwork.
This looks like a good time to take a break. We'll be back with more Beat the Champ right after this. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
And a ton of scholarships involved. Last year in New York State alone, through the bowling industry, we've given out $100,000 in scholarships.
Awesome.
So, I mean, you can't beat it. You don't get scholarships in, what are they playing now?
Video games.
Lacrosse.
Fortnite.
Video games.
Well, you do, but that's for another discussion because that's starting to happen. But your point is a good one, and I know the junior bowling and the development of young bowlers is something that is near and dear to your heart, isn't it, Jim?
Absolutely. That's where Chad came from. You know, Chad came up through the junior programs. He bowled in high school. And now we're seeing him on Beat the Champ, and that's the same with a lot of the kids. You know, Ryan Reese, another one that's knocking on the door. We'll be seeing him on this show pretty soon. Same thing. Started out when he was 4 years old in our junior program, went through high school, and now is going to be a great adult bowler.
Oh, what a shot.
And the messenger rolls over and takes out the 10 for a sixth frame strike for Chad Mee. How have the numbers been for you in the junior bowling program, which are an indication of the perpetuity of the sport, right?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think the numbers are decreasing a little bit because of all the other competition. And what's happening now is these other sports for kids seem to go year-round. You know,
every sport is year-round.
Yeah, it used to be each sport had their own season, and now it doesn't seem to be that way anymore. But it's still strong, and once we attract some kids into the program, they enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and like I say, they learn all the fundamentals that you could learn in any other sport, and then some. You know.
But you do, to counteract that, those busy Saturday afternoons, there are, we do have an after-school program, right, for juniors to come in here after school.
We have an after-school program on Friday that they can sign up for. And then when we fill in, we do all of the birthday parties and all of that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, we have the men's league also on Tuesday night that I come in here and work, so we have a good time here on Tuesdays as well. And you have many leagues that you offer a mix through you have the
Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We have it can be any combination of men and women. Doesn't have to be all men. Doesn't have to be all women. So that makes it a lot easier to put your team together. You know.
Right.
And they're with unlimited rosters also. So you could have 15 people on your roster. You could virtually have field a different team every week if you wanted to. So those people that don't want to commit every week,
and that eases that eases up on the family commitments and that. So if you do have something going on, you can do it because you have other people to choose from. So in this match right here, it seems like, you know, the wheels have come off a little bit for Jay. He's
had 3 open frames. That's tough.
And he doesn't have the it's like everything he does it doesn't work out. And believe me, we've all been as bowlers, we've all been in that position, and it's just the worst feeling when everything you try, and you have to try something. It's a one-game match. You have to fish around the lane. So in this case, when it has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that he's trying to look for some kind of consistent ball reaction.
Yeah, and Chad is maybe struggling a little more in this match than he has, not putting up as many strikes as he was.
And he's up 50.
Yeah, but he has had no opens, and it's been strikes and spares, and particularly if not everything is working, that's the key. Just knock them all down.
And he may just be trying to stay out of trouble and make some subtle adjustments so that when he gets into the next match, he knows where he's got to go.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row there for Jay. Good little bounce back for him. 44 years old from North Tonawanda, New York. His father Rod, his girlfriend Chantel, and his son Logan here cheering him on. In his second appearance here, he actually, I think you mentioned this, Jim, Jay qualified the exact same week in the same position 2 years in a row here for the show in two different bowling centers.
That was a good shot there for Jay. That makes you feel a little bit better when you at least...
Yeah, he's doing the same thing that Frank did. He's finishing up the game the way he would have hoped to start.
And I thought it was interesting when I asked that question to Frank that it's hard to fight when you start poorly. It's hard to fight back from that. That's a good strike for Chad.
Yes.
You know, particularly in a match like this against a really good bowler where you're probably already a little tensed up going into it to begin with. You know, it's tough. It's just inevitable. It puts you in a mental hole a little bit.
Exactly.
Well, that strike there secures the win for Chad. He really just has to keep it on the lane, which I'm sure he can.
So it's going to be 4 in a row for Chad Mee and a chance to sweep the week.
Beautiful.
And that's a strike that will officially clinch another win for Chad Mee. So he is up to 9 wins overall. He's up to 4 wins in a row, and it's now up to Mike Johnson to try to see if he can't end that streak. That is our next match. We'll check in with Jay and get you ready for that match when we all return to Manor 2 Lanes in Amherst. More Beat the Champ right after this. 201 to 178, a win for Chad Mee over Jay Schwartzkopf. I'm going to let you talk about ending with 5 strikes so we don't have to talk about the way things started for you.
3 or 4 opens. It's an easy way to beat Chad Mee. You know, I wanted to give him a running head start and see how I could do catching up. Chad's a good bowler. He's on a good run, so that was fun. It's good to be out here again.
It's frustrating, right? I mean, you want to do so well. The TV people are watching, and it's hard. You know,
it's actually not. The less time I spend with Jim Russo, the better.
Ah, see? See, it's not always me, Russo.
You know, I'm going to get a complex.
I think you're well past that.
Let me ask you something. I was going to ask you, does it get easier every time you come out? Do you think this was easier than your first appearance?
Well, I went 60 below, so maybe not. But no, the nerves are less. Like the first time was really nerve-wracking, but the second time, you just got to come out and bowl, which I didn't do, but the nerves are different.
Right. Well, considering the fact that it's been exactly the same month 2 years in a row, can't wait to see you in August of 2020.
Right. Book it.
Book it in. So
here's a little head start for you.
And you're a good guy, despite what I say.
I appreciate it.
Good. Well, I'm going to keep Jay around here just so he can keep throwing shots back at Russo, so I don't have to do it the whole time. Chad Mee going to try to sweep the week. That's our next match. Coming up next on Beat the Champ. Well, it's Mike Johnson, the guy who will try to prevent Chad Mee from keeping this winning streak alive and sweeping the week here at Manor 2. I tried to say correctly. Mike Johnson's a guy we've had on our show a number of times. This is his 6th appearance here on Beat the Champ, 6 wins against only 3 losses. He's a regular at Malwitz's Island Lanes in Grand Island. We've seen him there. We've had him at Rapids, and this might be the first time we've had him here at Manor 2.
Yeah, he's a sneaky good bowler. It's like not
sneaky good.
Yeah, maybe not a household name, probably because he can't remember to bring his shoes. But honest to God, he's a great bowler, and he gets the job done. I've bowled, he's bowled in my league at Transit, bowled against him. Really, really a talented bowler.
Anytime he can sneak out of Grand Island and get away from Malwoods for a couple hours is always a good idea too, right? I have to be an equal opportunity offender. I can't just heap it all on Jim Russo all the time. Chad Mee has won 4 in a row, up to 9 wins overall here on Beat the Champ. Last one was the first one under 225 as he won that 201 to 178 match over Jay Schwartzkopf. And honestly, Jay struggled in the first half with the 3 opens. Chad struggled too. Normally a 201 isn't going to necessarily be enough to get you a win. So maybe that was Chad getting a little lucky, having the right opponent at the right time.
Well, I still think that these conditions, certainly as they get played on more and more and more, as lanes break down, they're going to become even more challenging. And I think 201 would have been a score that I expected to be a winner all day, and I was kind of surprised the scores got as high as they did.
Yeah.
But
had a 278. We've had 234, 227, 236. Have been our other winning scores.
Yeah, this match has the potential to be a really good match, and see that Chad has made a big move, which was inevitable.
So what did he do? Well, we'll wait till he comes back up
Correct.
again so you can talk a little more about that. Last time we saw Mike Johnson was a year ago at the Rapids Bowling Center in August of 2018, where he had the gauntlet. He beat Chuck Jagosinski and then lost to Mike Zarcone, who are, of course, our top 2 winners here on Beat the Champ.
That's a tough.
That's a tough draw for anybody. Yes. 47 years old, from Grand Island, warehouse supervisor is the occupation for Mike. That's 2 in a row and looking good here.
He's looking really good. He's got really good ball reaction, and he's able to keep that ball right on line, and not doing anything funny on him.
Nope.
For when Jay was up there, he made him look like they had gotten kind of squirrely, but Mike's looking good. And Chad
All right, so what's the move from Chad?
So Chad moved way in because he's using a higher performance ball now. So he's trying to use whatever head oil he's getting out of that spot that he was in, because that spot would be burned up. And he's not going to get that urethane ball to recover from that deep on the lane. So he's gone to a more high performance bowling ball and moved way in and is opening the lane up.
So he's open with 3 strikes, so it is working. So now, when you talk a little bit about, you want to pick up a little bit of that oil at the front of the lanes. One thing I noticed about Chad and his style here is he'll drop down way low. Is that to get the ball into the head area a little bit quicker?
No, you really don't want to get the ball into the head area. You want to get the ball over the head area. You'd like to keep, you want that front of the lane to play as little part in your game as possible. But his leverage, he does get low, and that's really part of his talent is you want to get low. You know, he's got young knees. As you get older,
True.
It's a little harder to do that and stay down, but that's just part of his strong, fundamentally sound game.
I believe that's Chad's first open frame.
I think
in
it's his first multiple pin leave
match. And that one was a funky leave that he could not convert. So an open in the 4th for Chad, and 2 in a row for Mike. Make it 3.
Well, remember how talking to Chad, his mantra was to keep it simple. He could only stay so long with that urethane ball. And that's one of the things with urethane is you're not going to stay with it all day. It's not a versatile ball where you're going to be able to just make your moves and be able to stay with it. So now he's been forced in, which is, this is going to not be simple. When you leave something, you have now that chance to leave something funky, which he already did in the 4th frame. So
yeah, there's after 3 in a row, there's Mike's kind of funky lead.
I guess there is no real secret when the lanes are tough. Chad got away a long time with that urethane ball, keeping it that's about as simple as you're going to keep it. But now we're going to see some of the results from this tougher lane condition because they've been hold on for a while.
All right, so there's back-to-back open frames by each guy, so it kind of negated each other a little bit here. So
yeah, just keep it close.
Now, again, we are second show in here at Manor 2 into our 6th match. I feel like this is generally around when big changes start to happen, when you start talking more about adjustments, equipment, positioning. It just, you know, you've got those 5 matches on the lanes. Is this typical of when things are going to break down a little bit more?
Well, yeah, transition's been ongoing the whole time, but when it becomes, we have to make wholesale changes, is, you know, now we're 6 games in, so there's going to be wholesale changes after 6 games. And the tough part for like someone like Chad, who's been the champion, is even though he's been on it all along, what his muscle memory was pretty much down and in on the lanes. Now he's opening up the lanes, so his muscle memory was telling him to keep his swing straight and go up the boards. Now he's had to move way in because the oil's been shifted around, and he's opening up the lane. So that's another testimony to a good bowler, is being able to, you know, kind of erase that muscle memory and just, you know, change your whole projection on the lane.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
7th frame now for Chad Mee. This has been a good match between these two guys. Can Chad pull off another win and sweep the week? Bowling like that, he will.
Well, I don't think he loved that shot, but it certainly looked good it looked good to me.
Strike is a strike.
So now we're back in that position again where he can double to pull ahead. So right now there are only 2 pins separating these guys.
Yep, as you can see on the Castellone scoreboard.
This year it's nice and big, so it's easy to read.
For older eyes like mine, absolutely.
Big shot.
There's that double. So right at a crucial part of this match is when Chad Mee says, "Okay, Mike, I'm ready to take this thing over."
That's right. I've toyed with you long enough.
How are you going to answer back? Next stop for us is Classic Lanes in Kenmore, and then the stop after that is Mike's home center of Grand Island. Oh, just missed the 10-pin. Always fun for our regular fall visit with the Malwitz gang.
That's right. And I'm sure we'll see Mike in their 4th week competition.
We almost always
where
do.
Everybody from Grand Island gets to throw a bowling ball.
I was going to say, everyone who is able to cross into Grand Island gets to show up there. Okay. Mike had about 40 or 50 bowlers in that the last time, right?
I know. But it's nice. You have a crowd for the competition.
Oh yeah,
and then
that is the loudest.
Put their bowling shoes on.
That's right. The loudest bowling center we go to is that 4th week show at Island Lanes. Qualifying already set and over with for Classic Lanes coming up in a couple of weeks.
Right.
3 weeks from today.
And Brian Borowski can tell us all about his Watkins.
Yes, how about that? How about Brian as part of his role with the National Bowling Proprietors Organization and their sponsorship of the NASCAR race at Watkins Glen in early August, got to do the Gentlemen Start Your Engines. Can't wait to hear him talk all about that.
Right. When we talked to him last month, he didn't know yet what his responsibilities were going to be. So.
Great experience. Watkins Glen's an awesome place. Going to see the NASCAR guys, fantastic. So can't wait to hear Brian tell us all about it. Got a little bit to the left on that one, and that's why the 3-pin is staring him down.
He got fast. If you notice, he wasn't his leverage wasn't good. He wasn't solid on his feet. He fell off his feet. So he got a little quick, and that got away from him. I think, you know, again, a situation where strike there would have really started to put this match away, and there's a little anticipation there, and that's where these where the lane condition kind of shows itself, because you don't get away with it.
Keeps the door open.
Yep.
So Chad will head to the 10th.
So it's flipped again right now. Chad's up 8, but Mike has a strike up. So no matter what Chad does, he cannot shut Mike out. Mike has a chance to win this match in the 10th.
Nice clutch shot in the 10th frame for Chad Mee. It's 1-4 in a row. Can he make it 5?
Well, what he wants to do here is definitely post up a double so that he's forcing Mike to double, because, you know, strikes are not a given on this.
"23 years old, from Hamburg, New York, part of a legendary bowling family here in Western New York, is Chad Mee."
Well, he's doing them proud, because he really is a strong player.
Big, huge double in the 10th for Chad Mee.
Counts big here now too. He wants to get all 10, forcing Mike that if Mike does double, that he still needs good count on that fill ball. And you know, we've seen it all. We've seen crazy things happen here.
See crazy things happen everywhere. Yeah, we get 9. So Chad Mee with a huge finish with the 2 strikes puts a 221 score on the board for Mike Johnson to attempt to beat. What does he need?
He needs double 8.
Double 8 to end the win streak for Chad Mee. Oh, and he won't get it.
Put it there. Great shot.
Just spun right over the top of the 10 pin. And that's a gut punch for Mike Johnson, because I knowing how good Mike is, there was a chance that he was going to figure out a way to push this one right to the end. Instead, it's another win for Chad Mee, his 5th victory in a row, a sweep of the week, and he gets to hang around and take on maybe 3 new competitors for next week. We'll talk to Mike, we'll talk to Chad when we return to wrap this week's show up. Manor, 2 Lanes, and Amherst is where we are. Stick around where you are. We're back right after this. It's the 5th win in a row to wrap up week number 2. Chad Mee here at Manor, 2 Lanes in Amherst. Mike, you had a chance coming right into the 10th. I think everybody saw your body reaction, a little frustration on that you couldn't get that 10 pin.
A little bit. I mean, Chad's one of the top up-and-coming bowlers. Knew it would be a tough match. But like you said, I had a chance going to the 10th, and that's all you can ask for sometimes. Just couldn't get the 10 pin out there for me, but it's all good. It's always a good time to come out here. Yeah, well, it's always good to have you on the show as well, too. How much were the lanes a different challenge from what you qualified for? They actually felt a little easier to me today. Getting to the pocket anyways. The carry was still tricky, as it often is in this house. But overall... You're not supposed to say things get any easier around him, because you never know what he'll do about it. That's right, that's right. You never know what you're going to get, but that's bowling. That's right. Jim?
Mike and I go way back. Actually, Mike bowled high school with my son, Brian.
Awesome.
So he's old. And you were in our junior program, too,
Absolutely.
weren't you?
Yep, back at Manor. Yep.
That's great.
So we go way back, and it saddens me to have to give you this one, but congratulations to Chad, and we'll see you next month.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jim.
Sounds good.
By benefit of not being as old as all of us are, Chad doesn't quite go that far back with Jim, and that's good for him, isn't it, Sue?
A 5-game winning streak on this challenging condition is no easy feat. So what's changing for you out there, and what's your mindset?
Well, the first 4 matches, I was obviously throwing urethane like we talked about, and I started to get early friction. I started to see early friction, probably because lane surface is super high friction. You got the lights here, a lot of balls going down the lane. So I just made a jump left to a weaker ball, and it worked out.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we knew that was going to happen eventually, and so you were prepared.
Yep. I'm sure they're going to start hooking more. I'll probably have to make another ball change and just keep moving left and hope for the best.
All right. Well, great bowling, and keep up the streak.
Thanks.
Well, we'll find out exactly what Chad's going to do to adjust, because we know we're getting him back. He'll be ready to go for the first match of next week's show. Sue and I will preview that when we return to wrap up another fun week here at Manor 2 in Amherst. More Beat the Champ right after this. So it's a 5-match winning streak for Chad May. Very impressive in what he's been able to do so far. What are you seeing from him that's led to this success?
Well, good choices with his balls, good choices with his moves on the lanes, and that comes from all of his tournament experience. So I think that we have seen, some more experienced bowlers starting out, and people that we haven't seen as much on the show, and I think that experience is kind of winning out for him because he really needs to play on that knowledge.
Yeah, Sue, we saw a big equipment change from Chad during the course of this show. How key was that to his success?
If he didn't change balls with the urethane, wasn't going to play the right way anymore, moved in a little bit with the ball, had a little bit of surface on it. So one of the things I'd like when you guys watch, pay attention, because we think about ball choices, but also surface. So surface is really huge on patterns like this. So be aware that you can change your stuff, and Chad's on it. He's got great, parents that are fabulous bowlers, so a lot of experience and knowledge.
All right, well, we'll see if there's any more adjustments in store for Chad Mee as he tries to keep this winning streak alive. That will come up next week. Thanks for watching another edition of Beat the Champ.